G'day everyone, I'm Ben Heffernan, and today we're going to get stuck straight into this figurative abstract, apparently that's what it's called, that should hopefully look a little something like this by the end of the tutorial. So if that's something that might interest you, why not stick around and we'll get stuck straight into it. As you can see here, I'm just finishing off my preliminary sketch, which is just a roadmap, don't forget at this stage. We're not going for a lot of detail because I'm going to be painting over the outline with my background, which will give the face, in this case, the appearance of stepping away from that background and almost giving it a 3D appearance. Here I'm currently using a 15mm flat brush. It's mainly so I can get the paint onto the canvas quickly and cover a lot of space. As you can see on the table around my little canvas there's plastic spatulas, there's an array of different brushes which I will be using throughout this whole painting. As for the colour of this background, I'm just using some cerulean blue. I've mixed in a little white and also some black for some interest. Now, if you happen to have your paints and brushes out and you are following along, don't overcomplicate it for yourself if you're new to painting. For now, just stick to a cerulean blue, full strength for the bottom of the canvas, mixing a little white into the mix so that it becomes lighter towards the top. And as you see there, I'm not worried about blending. I've just got some nice dobs of white at the top and also mixing in some splatters. And I also like to paint the edges of my canvas, that way I can put a hanger on the back and hang it straight on my wall after it's been varnished. And there I'm even resorting to some finger painting. Now it's time to start painting the face of my subject. So here I'm going to add some yellow ochre, some white, and I'm going to be mixing those two colours together throughout this whole blending process. Again, it's just the blocking in stage, so I'm not going to get too carried away with detail. That will come into the last part of the painting. And if you are new to painting and you do want to follow along, I'm more than happy for you to take a screenshot at the end of this so that you have a reference photo yourself, as I have many different references for this particular portrait, and to be honest, it'll be just too confusing for the newbie to be able to follow along with all these different hairlines, ribbons, things added. But like I said, more than happy for you to take a screenshot and just follow along with my reference. Again, I'm painting the edges here so it is seamless from whichever angle you might be looking at the canvas once it's hanging on the wall. As you see there, I'm now starting to incorporate a little bit more of the darker colours. Here I've got the burnt umber and I've already got some black on my little saucer there, and that way I'll incorporate the two, not blending so much but kind of just meddling the two colours on my brush. And then I'm going to use the edge of my 15mm flat brush there, and sometimes I'm going to flatten the brush right out. But as I'm coming down to the end of the hairline, I'm letting it twist out to a point so it does give it the sort of pigtail look or ponytail look. I'm not really up with my hairstyles at the moment. With kids I should, considering I've got a 7-year-old daughter, but yeah, I'm just trying to remember. So what are they? Are they pigtails or ponytails? Anyway, I just paint them. Here I'm adding some white to the hairline, and you'll see me constantly tweaking, adding, taking away. I'm trying to keep that carefree feeling, not be too controlling. As you can see there, I haven't even cleaned the brush. I'm hoping that blue will translate into that darker colour. Now I'm going to move out to some Pyrrole red for the ribbons, and as you've seen there, a nice flat stroke, and then I let it just brush straight off towards the bottom of the canvas. That way it does give it that carefree look, and however it lands onto the canvas is pretty much how we want that to end up looking. And as I was saying before, not cleaning the brush, here I've managed to pick up a little white and it's translating beautifully onto the canvas. I'm quite happy with that effect. So these aren't so much mistakes, they're just kind of like let it go, let it happen, let the painting take over, and don't be too controlling. Here I was constantly fighting it when I get into the detail of her face, but again, it comes down to what you're after. For me, I wanted to keep that abstract feel and that carefree flow, but I also want to be able to add a little touch of realism so that it does satisfy that need in me that likes everything in proportion. Now, still in that ugly blocking in stage, I'm trying to add white, as these are really cheap paints. they aren't really translating well onto the canvas. But having said that, now I'm going to start to add a little more interest. Here I've got that red left over on my palette, so I'm going to start incorporating that into her jawline, in around her neckline there, and I'm also not too concerned about cleaning the brush again. I'm just leaving that red on there. I've got a little bit of that burnt umber, and I'm just letting that whole painting process find its own course. I've switched out to my filbert, which is just a flat brush with round edges, and I like to use those for especially for eyebrows and the eyeline here, allowing me to twist and turn the brush to the contours of her eye and eyebrows. Okay, now I'm moving on to her mouth, and I'm sticking with the filbert. As I said earlier, I can still get all those sharper edges and also the contours of her lips with those rounded edges of the brush, just by flattening out where I need to, and also just lifting the brush back and curling out towards that finer edge. I get into a little more detail here than you probably need to. Really, you could just stick with the brilliant red, which is my initial color, and just add some white. So adding white for the highlights of her lips, but if you are interested in getting into a little more detail, here I've got some burnt umber, and I've also using some crimson. Now I'm going to move on to her nostrils, and again that's just a straight burnt umber mixed in with a little black, which I will get into more detail later on. Now, painting teeth can be really frustrating because a lot of people try to actually paint the lines in, but really it's just a matter of just giving that impression of teeth. Here I've found the center of her mouth, and I'm just using a little bit of that brilliant red, and I'm just finding those gaps where the teeth should be. I'm not actually painting in lines. If anything, I'm really just shading. And now I'm going back to a little bit of finger painting, and I'm just using some white on the tip of my finger, and I'm just moving that around the face, kind of smudging it in, because it just, to be honest, it just wasn't taking with the brush, so I decided to really push that paint down into the canvas with my fingers. For the eyebrows and eyes, I'm just using that burnt umber again, mixed in with a little black, and I'm also not worried if I grab a little crimson or a little bit of that brilliant red mixed in there as well. Actually, I think even to one stage there, I mix in a little bit of that background blue, which was the cerulean blue, and that does make for some nice highlights. Here I'm using my #1 detail brush, and look, if I wasn't filming this, believe me, I would have my head over the canvas. I'd have my hand firmly planted on the table so that I have no shakes, but unfortunately you don't need my head in the way while I'm trying to film this, so I am standing away from the canvas, which does add to a degree of difficulty. But really, if you're painting this or following along, don't be afraid to get right in amongst that for close-ups and getting your hand firmly planted so that you don't have the shakes when you need to do this detailed work. And for the colours, I'm using the burnt umber, some of that cerulean blue, and I'm also using just straight black for the pupil and the darker areas of her eyelashes. And to give her eyes that lively sparkle, it's just a daub of titanium white with the very tip of the brush. This is where the fine line comes in between adding some realism points and also keeping that abstract free flow feel. And this is where it possibly could get a little advanced, but having said that, if you're following along, just go to the best of your ability. Don't get too carried away with the detail as I am here. Just use some larger, bolder colors. Let's say a nice big blue across the eyelids there, some blue on the cheekbones, or some pink or red, whatever takes your fancy. remembering that when you put brush to canvas, it's now becoming your creation. Here I was getting kind of frustrated with the whole controlled realism look, and I really wanted to break away by adding some splatters, some nice little strokes and other colours there. Added some blue to the side of her hairline, not really being too worried about where the splatters might end up, trying to keep it away from her face so I didn't have these big blotches. But having said that, I don't really mind if a few spots get on her face, because it does give her that carefree, abstracty look. Well, I hope you picked up some great tips, and share me around to anybody that you think might benefit from my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.